All right, here we are. Hello, chat, and welcome to I'm Not Trying to Kill You. Today we are playing our first, our episode 0 of Girl by Moonlight. I'm pretty hype. I fell asleep watching Medica and had weird dreams. So,
Oh my god.
You're on the right track.
yeah. I have 4 amazing magical girls with me today. I feel incredibly privileged to have such great role players and amazing people to be playing this game with. So I will get you to do your introductions. I'm Ash. My pronouns are she, her, hers, and I will be the GM for today. I will get Emily to start.
Sure. Hi, I'm Emily. My pronouns are she, hers. I'm a filmmaker and an artist, and sometimes I make art for games, and sometimes I do this stuff now. Yeah, I'm keen. I'm keen to be magical.
Pretty
You already
keen.
are.
Aw.
I like your sparkliness. It's good. Luke, do you want to go next?
Yeah, sure. Hello everyone. I am Luke. They them pronouns, please. By day I am a professional GM for children, and I teach them about myth and history using role-playing games. By night, I am a game designer, and also increasingly I do this too. Also, it would seem. Also sometimes witchcraft question mark. That's me. I'm done.
All right. Also, I did literally hear you as saying "by gay I am," and I was like,
I mean, it's not
Oh.
inaccurate. It's not inaccurate.
"Oh dear." All right. I'm gonna go to Andrew next. Andrew, what are your pronouns? Who are you? All that shit.
I'm Andrew. I use they them pronouns. I am a person who does shows like these, and then also I design the game that we're playing.
Yeah.
Whether or not that makes me a game designer is an open question.
It does. Full stop.
Yeah, spoiler.
Case,
It does.
case
Consensus.
closed.
Luke most encouraging friend.
Yeah, we have spoken.
And Melody, who are you? What's your
Hello.
pronouns? All that shit.
Hello, I'm Melody, she, her pronouns. I play and talk about role-playing games probably too much. And apart from that, I write about history and things like that.
Cool. Awesome. All right. So, first things first, when we start a new game on this channel, I do want to take a minute to go over XCut protocol. So we are all here playing a game together. It's a fun time. We're going to enjoy ourselves, but we're also going to be dealing with like a lot of emotions and maybe content that people aren't okay with. And I want to make sure that we all understand that we're here. We're adults. We're playing a game together because we like each other and we all respect each other. So if anything comes up in the game that we are struggling with, maybe it's a thing that's got like trauma associated with for us, or we just can't cope with certain concepts. Like I struggle with body horror sometimes. It's things like that. If we are struggling and we want to like tap out, we have a verbal signal and a physical signal. So if you say red card, I want to red card this, or if you don't want to use words or you feel like you can't, we have a physical signal, which is to put your hand up to the monitor, to the camera, and just with an open palm, and that is our way of saying, look, hey, I'm not okay right now. And if that happens, yeah, let's all just like practice that. Yep. Cool, excellent. We all understand what that looks like. And that if that happens, we will stop. We'll back off. We'll close the scene off or similar, and we will just like move on, change that thing never happened, those sorts of things. We won't ask any questions. We won't be like, oh, why did you feel like that? The only thing that I might ask is, what would you like me to avoid in future? Because there's no judgment. Everyone has their stuff. That's fine. So, cool. Is everyone cool with that? Does everyone get that principle? Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Cool. Cool. All right. In which case, we should do some Go by Moonlight stuff. Andrew, do you want to give us a spiel, or is there a spiel somewhere I can read? I'm trying to work out.
There is no like full-on official spiel, but
I love the spiel. That's the first paragraph.
There's
of
my
the
little
Google
off-the-cuff
Doc. I'm not gonna
spiel.
lie.
I can read it in my own voice.
Yeah, that would be your lovely sonorous tones.
So Girl by Moonlight is about a group of magical girls, but not really. It's about queer folks who struggle against the suffocating darkness of the world, made manifest in day-to-day oppressions, as well as the monstrous embodiments of that same darkness. It is inspired by magical girl fiction, as well as a great deal of other media inspired in turn by that genre. It's my take on all this stuff, and is averse to any sort of canon or notion of authenticity. Best enjoyed with a group of 4 or 5 people. One person takes on the role of the MC, and the others will play the protagonist.
Cool. Awesome. I'm very excited by games that talk about queer stuff through like weird metaphors. So it's a jam.
Hopefully I won't need to be telling us that this is what it's about.
Yeah, no, that's the thing, right?
That, right?
We'll pick it up, I imagine. Cool. So I wanted to like have a chat about like what kinds of things, because we need to pick out our series playbook is kind of the first move we need to make as a team. And so we might want to like have a look through that, through the options, and talk about what kinds of things we are excited about, what are our favorite examples of magical girl fiction and things that we're keen on playing out, and all that, those sorts of things. I have a fun question. Is Sora from Kingdom Hearts a magical girl?
Yes.
I mean, there's certainly a lot of power of friendship stuff.
That like Kingdom Hearts is heart punk as hell.
Heart punk, maybe. Question is it no, it's not cyberpunk. Is it heart punk? It's heart punk, but is he a magical girl?
I mean,
Yeah.
I
Look,
don't have
Elf agrees with me, so I am correct.
Wow.
I wish everything were that easy.
I know. Sounds great.
I'm on the fence about that because there's a lot of stuff that does go into that territory, but also like
there's not like a transformation sequence or anything like that.
And there's a big divide between shoujo manga and shonen manga, right? Like stuff that's directed at boys versus stuff that's directed at girls has a lot of like big differences in terms of like.
What do we think Kingdom Hearts falls into? Are you saying that?
Yeah, you spend too much time punching shit in Kingdom Hearts, in my mind.
Yeah, I feel like it was definitely...
I forget that there's actually like the bit where you have to punch stuff. I forget that that's
just
that
like
part
fight
of
it with the sword.
Yeah,
you know?
right.
I just remember that really heartbreaking moment where Axel and like Roxas and Sora. I just remember the sad emotion.
Like it draws on a lot of the same stuff and is a game focused on emotion, but there is that difference where it's about like the approach. In terms of like how the characters go about solving their problems and the ways that they engage with each other.
Yeah,
cool. There's a very particular thing going on.
Yeah, nice.
Which I have trouble describing.
Having said that, I feel like Madoka is like, from what we've seen so far, is like very much, you know, there is a problem. We're gonna have a big fight, and we're all gonna like hit each other.
I feel like Madoka uses those fights as framing for other things, though.
True.
And that's often the way that these sorts of things go.
Whereas
to my
in
mind,
it's just
yeah. To my mind, in Madoka, it's so much about their interpersonal conflicts, and the like monster fights are just like a high stakes stage wherein we can play out the consequences of their interpersonal stuff.
Yeah. Okay.
The results are almost a foregone conclusion when you go into the fights based on what's been happening previously. Not to like spoil anything for y'all who are enjoying.
It's that fight choreography thing, right? Which like that I did a bunch of that when I was in theater. It's like a fight is a conversation, and in Madoka, that's very much what's going on.
Yeah.
So I would like to propose an alternate to Kingdom Hearts. I think Kubo and the Two Strings is a magical girl film.
See, I haven't seen it.
Because
Yeah.
it's all about like the futility of violence and non-violent resolution, and like villainy as a product of trauma that needs to be addressed.
Like that's getting a lot more into the source material, or the like things that are interesting to me about the source material, right? The
Yeah.
idea that like no one, that like all people are monsters and all monsters are people.
The wisest words among the wisest words Avery ever wrote in Monster Hearts.
Yeah, and I've tried to bring some of that to the game.
Yeah.
Nothing
I
is
feel
beyond
like-
redemption, especially in like Starlit Kingdom. That is very much the case there. Maybe in Darkest Night things are irredeemably terrible, but you know.
Yeah, so
I
here's,
feel
here's
like-
the question. Like, so our options currently, as far as like playbooks, are in Darkest Night, Starlight Kingdom, and Odyssey of Stars. Is that the three that we currently have?
That's the current trio. I am still working on the fourth one, In a Maze of Dreams, which is like
Which is the one that I was like, yes, please,
So
Andrew,
bizarre.
please, and then no, okay.
we'll have to get to that later, Ash.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, another time. That's fine.
So
I'm
can
Look, we'll-
someone? Sorry, I was just gonna say, can someone sort of generally say what each one is kind of about? Like, I know Odyssey of Stars now, but
Yeah.
I'm happy to. I mean,
Yeah,
Andrew
someone
is also
other than
very
me-
qualified.
I want to hear someone other than me do it because I could talk all day about my
Yeah.
game, but I
Okay.
don't have enough time to.
So, Starlit Kingdom is very much the like classic, like very early genre piece in terms of like it's very uncynical in its engagement with the idea of like the power of friendship and the power of redemption and like the power of love and all these things. It feels to me anyway more of like a pastoral vibe. Like a bunch of the setting options are like out in the, like in a small town or like out in the countryside, and you can have like a temple and it can be set in the ancient past. Darkest Night is Madoka.
yeah, it just is.
No,
It's
that's-
just
Darkest Night is like the really cynical take on the genre where like the magical girls are like complicit to some extent in the systems of oppression, and like their struggle is contributing to them probably, and it's all going to end really badly and awfully and bloodily in a way that's kind of predestined from the start. So it's pretty fatalistic as well as pessimistic. Yeah, it's Liam in chat is like it's a deconstruction kind of
Yeah.
of the genre. And then Odyssey of Stars is about mechas who are powered by love and relationships and punch giant monsters.
So my question is, so as far as like GMing, I don't think I should be encouraged to go. Like, I feel like Darkest Night will encourage me to be way darker than we probably need to be. I'm going to push, like, I will
Yeah.
probably push the other two into weird dark places on their own naturally, because that's my inclination.
Yep.
So I feel like if we ever, if we wanted to do that, that would be fine, but I'd have to put in a lot of work not to to like let the game be dark and not just the bullshit that I spout. Because like,
I mean, it is like here's the thing about this game, is that it is a Blades hack.
yeah, right?
It is an inherently dark, mechanically game, right? Like we make dark bargains. The evil in the setting permeates everything.
Yeah.
Or the like, the badness, including the characters themselves. They contain a portion of that darkness within them. And so, yeah, like I've run Starlit Kingdom and it's been
It was pretty fucked.
pretty gnarly, right? Like it can happen. So, the mechanisms will lean us in a certain direction, but also we have a lot of liberty to set a tone that feels right for us, and that the discussion around tone in the game is a fluid thing. It's ongoing, because anytime I go to do something, and Ash, you're like, oh well, that's controlled, or that's desperate,
exactly.
right? And like my effect, all this kind of stuff is a way that we can check in about what is possible and what is not possible. So,
Yeah.
I'd like to posit, if we do end up playing Darkest Night, Elf is pushing for it pretty hard and has used the word agenda to describe herself. I think if we are playing Darkest Night, then Elf is the darkness, and she should get to write a custom agenda.
No, but
that's
if
probably
that's
not
the
something
case, then
that's
it's
gonna
not
happen.
Darkest Night, it's Edgiest Night.
Oh my
Edgiest night.
god! In Edge.
In edgiest night.
Oh dear.
No, I would second the something that isn't Darkest Night in this
Yeah.
case.
Yeah, I'm genuinely worried about breaking Emily. Yeah.
No, not so much that. More a case of like I'm thinking like current, world climate, particularly in Australia right now. I feel like if we're gonna do queer stories,
Let's not
One
do
like-
dark queer stories. Yeah.
let's not do really
Yeah.
really.
So the question
dark
is,
queer
do we want to do
stories.
heartfelt queer stories or queers and giant robots?
That is the question.
Okay, so Mal, you were muted just now. It looked like you said something.
Yes, I said that's pretty hard. Like, pretty hard decision. Yeah. I mean, I'm kind of leaning towards Starlit Kingdom because we play tested Odyssey of Stars. It was amazing,
Yeah.
but I want to try something different.
That would be my.
But I'm
Whereas-
happy with either.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Whereas
Yep.
like Sea of Stars is the one that's had the least playtesting, so like
And
it's,
so my bias is clear, right?
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah, I'm
Hey,
aware of
if we
that.
go that way,
Well,
I'm so
and-
keen.
Andrew, like, do you want to talk about like what as far as because I'm really interested in the way that Sea of Stars like has this weird relationship between the pilots and their mechas, and I'm really interested in like I am interested in seeing what, like how that plays out as like relationship stuff. Especially because there's I got a feeling of like a carer relationships from it, in that the mechas were kind of like reliant on. So if that's the thing, if you want to look at like for me, I would see the mecha one almost as as exploring relationships where there is a care based power dynamic.
Yeah, like they're big slow people
Yeah.
who need your help, right? Like
Yeah.
you're this clever little thing that goes inside of it, and that the two of you become something more together.
Yeah.
But they still have desires and yearnings of their own.
Yeah.
So,
I feel like
and by the way, also like Ash, you totally, you have equal stake in which playbook we're choosing here.
Yeah,
So
yeah, no, I'm aware.
yeah.
I'm just trying to make sure that we get like all of the
So yeah,
everyone's
it's
feelings.
as long as everyone's voice is being.
I mean,
heard.
like personally, I feel like Honesty of Stars, like I feel like I'm more comfortable with Starlit Kingdom as a GM, as far as like knowing how those stories work. They don't have as much obfuscation. I'm also not heaps like personally the apocalyptic nature of the setup for Honesty of Stars is really cool, but it's a thing that like again I'm currently already doing an Apocalypse World game.
It makes it a very specific kind of game.
yeah.
I
I think
Yeah.
also just to speak to that.
know poor
caregivers,
Andrew's face.
I
yeah.
want to do that one, but it's okay if the table isn't feeling it right. We're gonna
Yeah.
bend to that. So.
To speak to that caregivers idea, I think let's also acknowledge that like a part I think of why that became a thing in our one shot is because y'all chose objects, and so the mechs being objectified was a big thing, and so they needed that protection. But I'm digressing.
Yeah.
I like Starlit Kingdom not for any of the reasons already stated, but precisely because of that pastoral thing. Like, I'm about to get real nerdy here. The thing that I love most about magical girl fiction, and in fact, the specific piece of magical girl fiction that I am most interested in, is not a piece of fiction. It's all of the Japanese folklore that underpins and informs the genre from its very like base level. Like Magical Girl, it's basically just updated folklore about Miko, right? Like that's basically at heart what it is.
Yeah,
And
right.
that's the bit of it that I'm really interested in. And so I want a playbook where we can do weird folklore stuff and where like maybe I'll play the stranger and be a kitsune. Like maybe that's a thing that could happen. Like that's the kind of
That's a really cool idea.
Can you provide me with a little extra context for Miko? What that
yeah,
is?
so Miko are the shrine maidens in Shinto who, are, you know, like, caretakers for the gods and like keep the shrines clean and keep the the rituals going. The bow is like a magical bow is a really classic like Miko trope, which like is where that specific thing that always seems to happen in magical girl anime, like that is
like how
direct
Madoka
reference.
has one, right?
Yeah, that's a direct reference to that thing. And
So
the
I
idea
could
of
see
these
myself-
like
Sorry. Go
the
ahead.
idea of these like young women kind of like touched by supernatural beings who they have like about the capacity to relate to, kind of standing between worlds, a little bit set apart from the restrictive structures of society.
And so here is my question to you, Luke. How are you not describing Honesty of Stars right now?
So the fact the last bastion is like it's like a really kind of like implicitly mechanized like in technological environment. That's not like necessarily true, but that is like the prompts do push it in that direction.
True, but we could spin it that way if that's
Yeah.
if it's like a mostly on an aesthetic level. I just want to open up the space
really-
that, there are ways we can funnel into that.
I
But
am-
Starlit Kingdom also sounds totally
Yeah.
great.
So I suppose what I'm saying is I want like a fantasy folkloric aesthetic.
I
That
am
doesn't
super into that.
mean that's not mutually exclusive with like a scientific aesthetic, but like I want there to be like folklore and weird spirits and like magic.
Yeah.
That's my jam.
I think that is also a very valid sort of thing, particularly because I know the kind of jamming that Ash does, and I know that she is good with folklore and weird spirits, and is probably like more familiar with that than Mex. But I am also liking this kind of suggestion that has happened about like Mex, but in a way that is folkloric and about weird spirits.
I mean,
Yeah,
there are choices we could make in Sea of Stars that would lean it real hard in that direction, right? Like,
Because
I mean, when we did it previously, we kind of touched on that already. Like our mechs were kind of elementals almost.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah. That was
and
neat.
so one of the things that inspired that playbook was Vision of Escaflowne. I don't know if y'all have ever seen that one, but
like I've heard of it, but
this young girl gets sent to the like moon, which is actually a magical place, kind of like Earth, where people live, and they call Earth the Mystic Moon. And so when she's on the moon place, she has like magical kind of oracular powers, and they're all of these
Oh.
like big magical like armor suit things. And there's like a war between these kingdoms. There's a rebellion, and blah 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 blah. And they're cat people. Great anime, top tier anime.
Neat.
And the like emperor is basically like a head inside of this giant like oracular clockwork machine.
Oh my
Cool.
god.
It's real cool
Wow.
show. Anyways,
Sounds great.
there's lots of good stuff as far as that goes.
Well,
So let's make a decision.
Yeah, let's make a decision. So, like, here's my
yeah,
feeling: is that
Yeah,
is
what's
that
your feeling, Ash?
I would like to play something that is like more light, more like
hopeful.
more hopeful. But that doesn't necessarily mean that that's not Sea of Stars. That just means that we would bend it in that direction, and I would probably, I would be interested in like twisting the fuck out of like, hey Andrew, would you like us to test your playbook? We're going to play it askew, like, yeah, like,
Yeah.
Yeah,
from a
no,
weird
and that's
angle.
that's important too,
can I
right?
can I pitch something? And well, rather, Andrew, can I ask you, because I don't remember Sea of Stars well enough to know if this is possible.
Mm-hmm.
Could you take it to a historical place? Could you be like, hey, it's 1850.
Yeah.
The last bastion is a ship, like an actual wooden
Oh,
sailing.
hell
like,
yes. This was my
right, 'cause-
intent, was to
Yeah.
permit this
Yeah.
wide
Yeah.
range of like, what is a ship? What does that mean, right?
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah, because
I
like
really-
that would be cool.
I feel like
Yeah.
Putting it out there.
I feel like the consensus here seems to be on a Sea of Stars, but we fuck it up.
Yeah, it sounds like.
Love it.
Do you
Let's do
feel
this
comfortable
shit.
with that, Ash? Like,
I'm
as a
really interested to see what that looks like.
Alright.
I'd,
Do you
I'd
feel
be
it's
more
play to
comfortable.
find
I'd be
out?
more comfortable in because like I would feel more comfortable in. So there's the thing. I'd feel more comfortable in Starlight Kingdom, but I think that it would be that more interesting weird shit would happen in Sea of Stars.
it's sometimes good to push a little bit out of the comfort zone, right?
Yeah, yeah. I mean, yeah, exactly. And like I've run
my-
like a single blades hack already, so it's fine.
It'll be fine. My only other
whole
question,
one?
Andrew, is I know that when we, at the time of our play with Sea of Stars, there was still a little bit of lack of clarity about like how Transcension and the mechs interact with each other, and like the Transcension section is not on the playbook sheet.
So I did a little
And-
bit of cleaning up for that.
Yep.
Yeah, I
cool,
saw that.
Cool. Awesome. All right.
Yeah.
Just because I want to be able to transcend in a way that is not just me going into a mecha. That's
Yeah, I
very
think that's really
to me.
important.
Yeah, so the two are definitely separate, and there's this
Yeah.
idea of like, maybe you can transcend while not in a mech, but it just if while you're in one of the engines, that's when you are able to be at a scale where you can deal with.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah,
So we might have-
non-mech transcension is for exploring the last bastion, not for fighting a leviathan.
I mean, in a pinch, you could fight a leviathan, but it's going to be messy.
It's gonna be bad.
Ash will steeple
Gonna
her fingers.
suck.
Automatically desperate. Effect automatically 0.
Would you like me to describe like breaking bones and the sound of like wet meat hitting the floor? Because I can
No.
do that.
Yeah,
Oh, no.
Emily doesn't want that. I
No, I
want that, but Emily doesn't want that.
Oh, that's
Okay, so
See of
Uh,
Like,
Stars.
I feel like
Melody,
we've got
you're cool
a
with
feeling.
this as well. I just want to make sure that we.
Yeah, that sounds great.
Great. Okay, cool.
I was happy to go either way, so sounds real good.
I mean, we had this joke earlier about the fact that like I've got Melody, whose Twitter tag is Magic Space Girl, in both the Magic Girl and the Space games.
Yeah, exactly. Kind of my jam. Also, Luke, the queer knights in space game would work so
Oh
well
shit,
in
though.
the system.
This. We're gonna talk about this after the show. I have some thoughts.
Yeah.
All right. In which case, I shall place into the roll-20 here. As I wait for it to upload. I'm. My brain's already going to like weird mech ideas.
Excellent.
It's a
You're
good
like,
thing.
what is a mech, really?
It's a good thing that
Yeah.
we're gonna have to wait until halfway down column 2 to make that decision.
Yeah,
Yep.
exactly.
Hopefully, I did it right.
Well, I mean, I guess they're not necessarily mechs, right? They're engines, right? That could be like anything.
Yeah,
They're engines.
exactly.
Why does it sound like we're trying to
Um,
convince ourselves of something there? it's not a mech. It's fine.
It's fine. Nothing's gonna go wrong.
Everything's fine. We're all fine. Cool.
Yeah.
Awesome.
So
Shall I go
even
ahead and
even
roll?
though it's not on the playbook, at least as far as I can tell, I still think we should definitely make choices from the transcendence option and decide and like aesthetically coordinate our transcendences. I
mean, we
think
did
that
that.
would be cool.
Oh no,
but-
So,
we kind of did that.
So we have, like, a
last
common
as well, yeah.
theme?
Yeah.
Yeah, so that like when
Yeah,
we all
yeah,
transcend, like there are a
Yeah,
couple of
totally.
like common markers and then other stuff. So like maybe only one character like changes gender, but everyone calls on the power of the stars or fucking whatever.
yeah,
Right.
totally.
Yeah, absolutely.
Heck. All right. We have. You should now be on the.
Oh, I'm here.
The group playbook.
Yeah.
Awesome. So we're gonna go through some questions and work out what the fuck our setting is, which I'm pretty keen for. So the first question that we have is, what is the nature of the darkness? Is it a world of ghosts and demons, a storm of psychic energy, an alien force, ancient gods reawoken, or guardians of the natural order, or a vast, all-consuming organism? I nearly read that last word wrong.
I mean, I don't think I need to speak for everyone to know what my choice is, so I'm just gonna sit back and let y'all have a discussion.
Oh, I was going to be like, I mean, oh wait, no, I know which one.
Ash, did you almost say a vast, all-consuming orgasm?
I feel like that's what almost
Perilous.
No, Ash, that's in A Maze of Dreams. You're getting confused. That's a different playbook.
I mean,
Now
like
I'm
that's
really
in the Maze
curious
of Dreams.
what
That's
the Maze of
totally like a
Dreams
thing,
has.
right? Like you could just be like completely lost forever.
Yeah, Andrew, that should totally be an option for the conspiracy, like a soporific eternity of pleasure or something. That'd be cool.
Oh my god.
And that gets
Yeah, you'd
close
like
to,
that, wouldn't you? Sorry, it might happen. Okay,
Alright.
so for where I'm sitting, what seems cool to me, is either ancient gods reawoken. If we want to do this like kind of folklore oriented theme, that seems like a good one.
Mhm.
My trio, I guess I'll say, is World of Ghosts and Demons, Ancient Gods Reawoken, or Guardians of the Natural Order. Those all seem great. Guardians of the Natural Order definitely implies that we are all transgressing against that, or like humanity is
Yeah.
transgressing against
Yeah.
that, which is
I mean, I'm big on a World of Ghosts and Demons for this. I think
That's
that
the
would
one that I'm feeling also.
be-
My choices are exactly the same as Andrew's. Those
Yeah.
are all the
That
ones
would-
that I
yeah.
gravitated towards as well. So
I agree with that for
Yeah.
what we've been talking about.
I feel like
Yeah.
Ghosts and Demons is an area that I can buff quite well.
Yeah, yeah, I'm totally up for Ghosts and Demons.
Also, thanks
Yeah.
Vincent for just giving me like buff as a constant part of my vocabulary, right? Like
Yeah, I can.
it
I
has a
can buff
specific
that.
meaning now. Great.
yeah, it's a core GMing verb.
Yeah,
There's
exactly.
like
Yeah.
listen, communicate, describe, buff.
Yeah. Melody, do you have thoughts about the nature of the darkness?
Yeah, the Ghosts and Demons sounds really good. The other one I was thinking was Alien Force, because if we're going kind of a folkloric thing, I can picture us being like kind of the folkloric guardians against some external like other force coming in from outside.
True,
I think-
true.
I read that fantasy novel.
yeah, it doesn't need to be Little Green Men, right? It can be this.
No, exactly.
Yeah.
Totally.
Yeah.
All right. Well, it sounds like we're going with World of Ghosts and Demons then. So then the question
So-
is,
Yeah, I there's an immediate question I have. You go first.
well, I was going to say then we move on to the next question.
Oh, okay. Like what I am then immediately curious about, and I think is an important decision to make, is like, are we talking within like the context of a specific like
Of a
mythology or
specific
set of
culture.
folklores,
Right,
or are we
yeah.
inventing stuff? And like, where are we setting this? Right? Like,
Yeah, that's a really good question.
because I feel like that's important.
I feel
Is
like
there-
you would be better like if Luke were running this, we would set this in like ancient. We would be using ancient Japan and Japanese stuff. But
Look, I just got red. I'll own it.
no, like you're good at that. I'm saying that's
or
something you're good
island,
at.
but yeah. You called me out there.
Whereas I don't know that like accurately enough. Like I have a lot of generally I don't know individual settings specifically, and I tend to pull from a bunch of places.
I think I'd rather like kind of go with something like maybe a bit invented, and you know, if we're going down the folkloric path, I would generally lean towards like kind of it feels folkloric rather than being like based on specific kind of
Here's
real
a
world
suggestion.
folklore.
Here's a suggestion. Pokemon. In that, there is the suggestion. There is the fan thing that Pokemon are
Post-apocalyptic.
mimetic evocations, right? Pokemon arise and start existing because people think about and care about stuff, which is a similar thing to damp spirits, but in a different way. And I like the idea that we have a cosmopolitan culture, and so therefore different parts can come into it.
Cool.
I'm almost more interested in the almost the opposite of that, which is that like the Lovecraftian trope of like these things definitely exist, and all of our cultures give us like different scraps
Right,
and lenses
yeah.
through which to like interpret them,
That's
but
cool.
no one has the full truth because
Yeah.
ultimately they're not like things that as humans we can really fully know, except maybe if we're magical girls.
Yeah, that's really cool. I like that idea. I like the idea that we have like I don't want to lean too heavily into a specific cultural representation as far as like the setting. I don't want to
Yeah.
say unless we go like to something where I feel safe, like Vikings or whatever. But I'm also like quite comfortable with like it's a cosmopolitan like small town suburb sort of area, like except also post-apocalyptic, right? Like
I mean,
what
look,
is the last
I-
bastion? I think this discussion
I
can probably
just want to put out there,
yeah.
Vikings, the last bastion is a longship, the Leviathans are Loki's children.
Again, I feel like you've got the advantage on this, right? right? I
That's fair.
didn't study
You
religion.
have this, deep-rooted, like, historical
Just a
knowledge
nerd.
base that
Yeah, just a
I
nerd.
do not. And
Yeah,
so
exactly.
I would
Just
struggle
want to
with
fight a
it.
giant wolf.
Here's the
I
thing.
mean,
I think I wanna play it straight. I want to go through these questions
Yep.
and build things as we work it out.
Cool.
All right, cool.
Because I think that's the way it's
One
worked
last
well.
thing I'll put forward as a like way of conceptualizing all of this stuff broadly is we can do the like Miyazaki film approach, right? Where it's clearly semi-analogous to this other thing, and then just goes like way off the mark in terms of what is actually historically true to that, and sufficiently so that it is not
Yeah,
Mm.
yeah, I like that.
misappropriative of it.
I like that.
Yeah, like I mean, Mononoke being like the classic example of that.
Like a brilliant example of it. Yeah.
Yeah, I like that.
So I like the idea of it. Yeah, starting out as establishing. We know that it's ghosts and demons. That I don't mind whether or not they are like what their origin is at the moment. I don't think we're going to lean too heavily into a specific culture. Mostly because I don't want to hamstring myself and like I want to give myself space to make weird shit.
Yeah.
Yeah, keep
Also-
the scope wide.
Yeah, also because I feel like ghosts and demons are kind of like to me that is inherently a bit mysterious, and so I kind of don't I as a player don't at the start really want to know where they're coming from or what their origin is. I just want them to be like a
Preserve the mystery.
mysterious, horrific force. kind of thing.
Yeah.
Sounds great.
Cool. All right. The question then is, if we have these ghosts and demons, what are leviathans? Because that starts to like pin things down a little more. That starts to be like, what does this look like when it like fucks us up? Are they massive demonic sea monsters, corrupted engines turned against us, spacefaring cephalopods, titanic mechanical horrors, or a hive of locusts? That's changed. I like, yeah.
Not
I'm really-
a swarm of shrieking blank or whatever it was.
It was just a collection of descriptive, like of adjectives with no noun.
Yeah,
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 look,
exactly.
everyone wanted to pick that one. They were like, "Oh, I know what the noun is. I know," and I was like, "No, Andrew has not chosen the noun yet. You cannot pick this."
I mean,
option."
here's the thing about that, right? Like a hive of locusts can easily be metaphorical.
So
Oh yeah, totally.
it can.
Could be
I
bandits and raider. Sorry.
Yes. No. I just was having a thought. The thought that I was having was, I like the corrupted engines turned against us, specifically if we are living in a world of ghosts and demons, because then my mind immediately goes to like haunted engines and like
Shit.
demonic engines, and
That's
that just
pretty
seems
cool.
And
really
it
cool.
introduces,
It also like not like necessarily, but kind of implies like if we know that the engines need us, that kind of implies that the dark engines also have pilots, which means that we have dark magical girls,
Ghost
which
pilots.
Allow me to
Yeah.
put forward a thought, if I may, which
Of
is
course.
that, and Luke, I think you'll appreciate this one.
like, oh good,
Uh, So we're talking about like this is the last bastion of humanity. This is the last place of the people, which really can mean like
you did that.
there are other humans, and we just
Yeah.
don't.
Yeah, exactly. We just don't accept
Right,
it.
like
Yeah.
this could be like a war between two kingdoms, or like a isolated kingdom beset by others, and they have like fallen engines, which is just like they have their own that they pilot. You know, like,
Yeah.
all of their knights are dark knights, and our knights
That's
are
real
good
cool.
knights.
Yeah, they're
like-
corrupted by the other people.
Yeah.
By being not us, they are corrupt.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like,
I feel like
It's another
I feel
way
like
that we could
corrupted
frame this.
engines is the one that we're leaning into there.
Yeah.
It feels good to me.
It has so much emotional meat too, because like it just, and particularly what you said, Emily, about like the ghosts and demons thing, it like introduces this vulnerability of like
yeah.
the concept that our engines could just be corrupted like that.
Could be as well.
Exactly.
Yeah.
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 It also makes for like a really interesting question of what the recover a fallen engine mission may end up looking
Yes.
like,
Yeah.
which I'm like
Yep.
super into.
Yeah.
So like, yeah.
Carve some asshole out of it and like tear him kicking and screaming from it.
It's really
Yeah.
interesting. I
Or,
feel
you,
that-
or like do a fucking exorcism, right? Like we've got to exorcise
Yeah.
the ghost of the last pilot who can't let go or something.
Yes.
I like that.
So good.
Feels.
I feel like that one.
Look, Andrew, speaking of colonialist vibes, like I totally reckon there's a game of this where the setting is Japan during the Meiji Restoration and the darkness is America.
I'm
Like,
not going to say
that-
that it's impossible that could be.
Cool. I feel like the corrupted engine ones. Yeah, we'll go with that. I'm really interested in that one. Like, that one seems really like the safe option, in that it's the one that, like, hey, you don't answer as much about it because you don't know what the engines are yet, and so like it creates this extra creative space, which is cool. So we'll go with corrupted engines. I will draw a little.
I mean, I'm always down for massive demonic scene.
Oops.
Yeah, that was my other thought.
That's always
Like,
fun, too.
because then we can make it a literal ship, and we have to fight like krakens and shit, right? Like that'd be pretty
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice.
But yeah,
I'm always
that's
down
what
to
the
fight a
engines look
kraken.
like. Yeah. One act of hubris that brought this doom upon us. An ancient king shattered the gates of death. Our first attempt at interstellar travel. Casting signals across all realities. Meddling with time. Or harnessing a forbidden source of power.
But they're all so good.
Personally, I really want to we're in it, we're going in the Blades in the Dark direction. I just kind of want to lean. I like the idea of an ancient king shattering the gates of death. That's
Pretty
kind of
cool premise.
And it
Yeah.
ties in with the stuff I've already established.
Yeah.
It does.
It
Yeah.
does reincorporate
It
pretty
does.
well. Cool.
I feel
think
like
I
a
don't think
forbidden
to-
source of power could also.
Yeah, those
like,
are the two
work
that
really nicely.
two that I leaned into. Was Shattered Gates of Death or Forbidden Source of Power.
Let me put out a counterpoint. What if it was our first attempt at interstellar travel, which is to say,
Yeah.
we tried to leave. We tried to be like, fuck this place, we're out, and it didn't work. And it made it worse. Now we're stuck here.
Yeah.
I mean, that's
Yeah.
cool too.
Yeah.
It also brings in the possibility of like ghosts from the void of space, which is like just really cool. But
And, like, interstellar travel in the like planescape sense of like, yeah, we
Yes.
open a portal
Oh,
to
like
a place, right? Like
Yeah.
we didn't make a
Oh,
big
yeah,
ship.
yeah,
We just
yeah.
like
Yeah,
tried to
you-
cast a
Yeah.
spell that would move us from one world to another.
yeah,
If
that's-
we
tried-
went actual space ghosts, I would spend the entire time just like going down the Captain Herlock route with the new.
yeah.
So like, I'm gonna like, what if we do the Agatha thing, right? A world of
Oh,
ghosts and
nice.
demons
Cool.
/ angels, because they're the same thing. And what
They're
if the
functionally the same.
interstellar place was heaven? Like, we tried to break
I mean,
into heaven,
cool.
and now all of the sanctified dead and like the angels are here
That's
to
kind of
punish us for our hubris.
I mean, that's interesting because it's almost those two prompts. It's like,
Yeah.
you know, the ancient king, and
We're the ancient king.
yeah, we're the ancient king.
Yeah, we're
Yeah,
living in the
yeah.
time of the ancient king. It happened like yesterday.
Well, I mean, so my thought would be I kind of like either of those with a bit of the flavor of the other one.
Yeah,
Like-
right? Like, I'm just going to underline an ancient king shattered the gates of death. I'm also going to underline our first attempt at interstellar travel and harnessing a forbidden source of power.
Yeah, because
Oh,
it's
God.
kind of all of them. It's kind
like-
of all of them.
Is that
Yeah.
breaking things though? If we like,
I mean, we're centering one really
yeah,
in this, which it sounds like
interstellar travel.
either interstellar travel or shattering the gates of death both line up. The fact that we aren't
Yeah.
keen on an ancient king specifically.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's first attempt at interstellar travel with some flavor.
Well, I mean, from what we've talked about, like maybe that's what triggered this other stuff. These like
Yeah.
you know, shattering gates of death. Maybe
Yeah.
it came about as a result of this interstellar travel,
Yeah,
right?
that sounds cool. All right.
yep,
Awesome.
cool.
So the question then is why the Leviathans come. Do they hunt the protagonists? Do they reclaim something that we stole? Do they want to consume minds and bodies? To silence our civilization? To entrap and contain us? To tear down our great works? Or just because we are in their path?
I like to silence our civilization. I like to tear down our great works. But I think with what we've already chosen, the idea of to entrap and contain us,
That's pretty cool.
like they want to tear down our great works. Like that's the means. Sorry, no, that's the other thing.
outcome. The outcome.
No, that's the thing that they're doing.
right.
But the
okay.
reason they're doing
The
it
end of silencing.
is the end is to entrap and contain us, because if we don't have our civilization, we can't repeat that act of hubris.
Oh shit.
And to my
Um,
mind, yeah, that one follows most directly from what we have previously.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it also like it kind of ties in a lot with the stuff in the game about, I guess, fighting against an oppressive force, because, you know, like, cultural destruction, like, you know, they're trying to destroy our language, our way of, you know, interacting and relating with each other, that kind of thing.
Yeah. Cool.
I do think, though, there is also an interesting case to consume minds and bodies if we want to go in a possession route. Just put that out there.
Yeah, that's true too. With the kind of haunting and whatever. I also kind of don't mind the simplicity of, because we are in their path, particularly if it's a thing wherein we opened a portal to somewhere we didn't fully understand and they went, oh great, excellent, we wanted to come through here. We're trying to get to something. And you're in the way.
I like that because it means that we don't matter, right?
Yeah,
we're just there.
We're just in the way. I kind of like that.
It's the Lovecraftian option.
That's brutal.
Yeah.
Very much so. And I like the idea of, rather than a like ring of fortifications to keep stuff out, we have a donut shaped thing where it's like we're keeping this thing inside the middle of our, like, because it's in our like most sacred place that the city was built around, and we have to like send people into the portal and stuff.
That's
Kinda
cool
awesome.
as fuck.
Yeah, Emily, I think that's a great way to take it.
Let's do it.
Yeah.
It's like the engines are the baseline level of like scale and power and like intellect that you need to have to be perceptible to them.
Yeah.
Like when we're in the engines, we register, but below that, they just
They're
don't
like-
fucking know where
Like,
they.
it's the
Yes,
difference
I
between
love
being
that.
a chimp and being like a mouse, right? They're like, oh, hey, a chimp. Like,
Yeah. I like that. I like that a lot.
So,
And
sorry.
given this vibe that we're having, I am reminded of some of my favorite religious art, which is, of course, it's like a depiction of the Day of Judgment above a church door, and so it's in this like semicircular composition, and as a result of this, everything's really like spindly and tall, and all the angels like reaping people in the Day of Judgment are these like have legs that are like, you know, 3 times the height of a person, and they're like reaching down and plucking them up like something out of War of the Worlds.
Yeah, cool. Alright. So,
That's
this is because
neat.
we're in their path?
Yeah.
Because we are in their path.
Cool. Awesome.
I dig it.
So, the last bastion of humanity is, choose one or two, an isolated city-state, an
Yes,
ancient
please.
fortress, a massive derelict warship, a hidden shelter, it is quarantined and sealed, it has martial law, it has an inquisition, or it has rebellion and strife.
I mean, it sounds like quarantined and sealed is a thing we
That
hinted
seems
at in
pretty-
the last
yeah.
question.
Yeah.
That seems like it's definitely part of it. How do we want to characterize the actual physical
I think it's. I
space?
feel like it's either an isolated city-state or an ancient fortress, depending on how we want to like.
I like that it wasn't meant to be like fortresses. Like they were ready for something. I like that it's just
Yeah.
where
But
we
like
live.
it's at the heart of the, like, I almost like the idea that like we're in Minas Tirith, and up the top in the heart of the city, which everything was built to protect, is the
yeah,
badness.
that's where the badness is. Yeah,
like
I think that's
fortress,
great.
like we trapped ourselves in a
Oh,
fortress
right.
with the badness.
Yeah.
Like there's
You're
like
not
the
locked in.
ziggurat at the center of the city that is
That's
now
pretty
the
good.
I actually, so you know, if we're going with the like stepped tier like imagery, I want to put out for in India in certain of the temples they have these inverse ziggurats.
yes, the ones that go
Which
down
go
and have
into
water
like
at the
the
bottom.
earth and the water, and I feel like that would be cool as fuck.
Those things are really beautiful. Yeah.
That sounds neat.
Alright, that's an ancient
Into
fortress, it sounds like. Cool.
Yeah.
I'm real good at drawing these
The
lines.
Have an
emphasis on
ancient
ancient. Yeah.
Yeah, right. Like
'Cause this was
it
it was
we
not
didn't
meant to
build
be
it
a
as
place where this
fortress.
happened.
It's more. It's not intended for this kind of fortressing.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's
Meant
like
to
the
protect from outside.
Yeah. So what if? Because Andrew, I really liked your point about like maybe we're just like in a war with an outside kingdom, and we're like, no, they're the baddies. Like, what if we are the last? We were already the last bastion of humanity. Like we
And
are the
then it
last
became
remnant of
worse.
our people. who withdrew to this like last fortress for like
Tried to escape.
where we were like, yeah, like, and now we can like use this secret temple in the middle of the fortress to escape and get out of here. And then
it made them
accidentally
worse.
we fucked up.
Yeah.
Oh,
And so
I have an
potentially-
idea then. My question then is, are there more than one force at play here?
Yeah.
Right? Was there another force that was wrecking everything? And we are just in the middle of them trying to get at each other, right?
Yeah.
What
Oh.
about outside are the ghosts, inside are the demons? Like, they don't have to actually be the same thing. Maybe the world is full of ghosts, maybe, and demons are coming through this hall,
That's-
or the other way
That's
around.
so cool.
So, what it sounds a little bit like, yes, this is my excited hands. What it sounds a little bit like, but I don't know if this is where other people are feeling, or if this is too much detail, or whatever. But what it sounds like you're suggesting is that we, the people, were at war with some other group of people, maybe like us or not.
Ghosts.
Yeah, well, that was my thought. I was like, maybe they were just regular people until we went, okay, you've trapped us
Oh,
in our
shit.
fortress. We're going to open a fucking portal. We're going to let all these freaking demons out and whatever. And, like, they're now ghosts.
Oh shit, that's brutal.
Um,
With a grudge against us.
yeah, exactly, because we just, like, wrecked the entire world. And
Oh,
are
we
still
we
hiding out.
apocalypsed the world.
Yeah.
Yeah, we
It kind of
I kind of like the idea of there already having been ghosts, just because I like the idea of there kind of almost being three flavors of mechs. So that like recover an engine missions are not about like going into the demon space and trying to recover a corrupted one. They're about going into the world outside with the ghosts and recover like a haunted one and like exorcise
See,
it.
this is your version.
My turn for excited
Yes.
hands. I have
Really
a
excited
I have an
hands.
image in my mind of like there's the gleaming white, or metaphorically gleaming white city state that we have, and then it's just like its walls, long besieged, are surrounded by this like horrific medieval warfare wasteland that stretches out and encompasses the entire world. That we won this war against our like ancient enemy and just like fucked the whole world in the process.
Yeah.
But we're
Yeah.
like,
Had to
yeah,
escape.
we fucking won.
We
All right,
won.
now we gotta leave this
That's
world that we
awesome.
won.
And then we
So
couldn't.
sad. And then now we can't, right? That like
Yeah.
the society is kind of this monstrous
God.
winner
I
of this
hate
incredibly
us so
pyrrhic
much.
victory.
I love it. I love it. Yes.
Yep.
Absolutely.
And just
think
like
that- I
swords
think-
buried in the dirt and like these blank gray
Yes.
wastelands with bones.
So
and
okay, but
ancient
here's my
engines of
interesting thing
war.
on that, right? Like I like the idea that that is not that like because the thing that comes to mind when we've got like the war ridden world, right, inhabited by ghosts probably because of war, is the image that I have of like 3 months after a bushfire, right, where it was black and grey, and now there is like
Yeah.
nature's just taking
starting
over again.
to regrow.
Yeah, exactly, starting to regrow, like Chernobyl,
Yep.
right, like
Yeah.
Pripyat.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
I like that
Yeah,
where it's
yeah,
being
yeah, I
reclaimed
love
by the natural
Yeah.
world. and
Yeah.
stuff.
Yeah.
That
Also,
we wrecked everything.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I've just realized what our city is in my head, because the main visual reference I'm drawing on is not actually Minas Tirith. It's Ba Sing Se,
Yeah. Yep.
Oh yeah.
with that fucking enormous wall
Yeah.
just
Yeah, yeah.
around it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool.
There
Cool,
is no war
alright.
in Ba Sing Se.
So yeah, we have an ancient fortress, quarantined and sealed. But what is held to be sacred here? Money,
Hatred.
order, power, tradition,
We want a war.
control,
It's hatred.
possessions, edifices, organizations, and hatred. I don't want to do hatred. I don't want to do it.
I feel like
Yeah.
edifices like
The war.
seems pretty significant. I mean, this is like the like physically and like spiritually the last place, right?
Yeah. Right. Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
ooh, and there's. So I really like the idea because there's the question about collateral damage to the bastion during Fallout. I like the idea of like narrowing the fictional flavor of that slightly, right? What if the Great Temple where we opened this gate, like, still exists, and the leadership of the Last Bastion still maintains that like it can be like repurified and sanctified just as soon as we like fix the problem. And so
Yeah.
sometimes we accidentally bash up the temple while we fight the demons. They get real pissed about it. They're like, blasphemy.
Right. Yeah.
I mean,
That's
So
pretty neat.
edifices then.
Yeah, edifices.
Yeah, edifices.
Stoked
Is
about
there
it.
another one we want, or do we want to just keep the one?
I feel like
another one would be
I feel like we should choose one to reflect what the war was about.
Power.
Yeah,
I mean,
power,
power,
like tradition
control,
also leans
money,
leans,
traditions.
Yeah,
Like, there's a lot of options.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This is a list of all the bad stuff, after all.
Yeah, yeah.
Welcome to
And
capitalism. By
Yeah.
Andrew
I
Gillis.
feel like I would lean toward tradition because it might give us another in back into the folklore stuff. If our war with them was about our traditions, then it is also kind of inherently about like
I like
their
the idea that we
mythology
had-
versus ours or
I
something.
like the idea that we had like a world-ending war over whether or not you have to give your ancestors fresh pizza or moldy pizza.
I mean, look. Do you want me to
Pineapple
go?
or not?
Do you want me to go into this? Because
No,
I'm
I
ready.
don't think we need to go too deep. I just like something like really like something really small and idle just became like the focus for the end of the world.
I mean, and the
really like
beautiful
that idea.
thing about tradition, right, is that like within context, that's not small and idle. Like that is
No,
really
exactly.
fucking
Yeah.
important.
Yeah.
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 And tradition
I
gives us
think-
something really concrete to like have tension with and like
Yeah.
Yeah.
bash up
It's-
against.
It's a very clear like source of obligation
Yeah.
related like
Yeah.
stress.
Yeah.
And I think like as a player, particularly because we're talking about queer stories, like fighting against tradition is a thing that I'm like, I like that as a theme for sure.
So Emily, are you saying I can punch the plebiscite in the face in this
Absolutely.
game? Is
Yes,
that where we're
please.
going with this?
Let's all do that.
That's what we're meant to be doing.
Can we headbutt Tony Abbott too?
Oh, that sounds good. Yeah.
Look,
Someone already
it's
did that.
it's not about same-sex
Someone-
marriage. It's just that I think he's a real.
That word, yeah.
Yeah, I'm not sure what the. Yeah, we have Americans in the audience. I don't
Yeah.
want to offend anyone.
Yeah, exactly.
Wasn't there a thing recently where someone
That
wanted
word.
proving that word in Australia is like not actually offensive enough
It's
to
not.
merit being like slander or whatever?
Yeah,
So
people
that's-
just use
Like,
it all the
I
time.
suppose you,
not.
like in Australia, I can be like, yeah, he's a pretty good cunt, right? Like,
It's a compliment. Yeah.
yeah.
Or just a good guy,
mad,
right?
Like
Yeah.
a mad cunt and a sick cunt are both very big compliments.
It's
right?
true.
Like,
Yeah.
And it's not unusual for someone to like greet a group of friends like, "Hey, cunts, what's up?" Like,
yeah, that's
It
just.
happens.
I love this. I was so hesitant about offending our
And then
I mean, we're
everyone else
specifically
is like,
talking
"Oh,
about
it's
the
just-
usage of it here, right? Like, I'm.
Yeah.
Well, and
yeah, so
y'all
it
can
was-
say it and I can't, right?
This-
if I say
this-
that
and
word,
also-
it means something different.
There's an
Yeah.
interesting thing in
Elderly
that, like,
Asian.
in that it is
you're
it
right.
has a positive version and a negative version depending on context, right?
Yeah.
And I will take the negative version to be misogynistic, and I will take the positive version to be words.
Just kind of whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway, that's
Yeah,
not the
so,
point. The
Andrew,
point is
for
what
context.
What
Yes,
was
there was an
humanity
elderly
forced to
Asian
give
man
up?
who has political placards, and he called our ex-prime minister, who got headbutted recently in an unrelated incident.
Yeah.
a
Use
cunt.
that word,
And,
yeah.
Yeah. There was a high court case over whether or not that was offensive.
And the High Court
that found
ruled
that
that
no,
it
it
was
was
not.
Yep.
And that's why y'all are saying it so much
Yeah,
on
exactly.
on
Sorry,
live
we were
making you
already-
daytime
uncomfortable.
television right now.
I'm not.
All right.
I didn't.
Painting you with the same brush, Emily.
Yeah.
Oh.
What was humanity forced to give up in the war? Or
Love.
in the event? Either or. I like the idea that one was, we were, like, if we choose two, one was the war, one was the event.
Mm.
Yeah.
Yep.
Well, since Ash wanted a more upbeat game, let's choose hope and love and just really make it the worst. Not that, of course, she doesn't get to have a say.
I kind of like the idea that what we were forced to give up in the war was community.
Yeah. I was
Because
actually
war leads, at least in some instances, to like a really transactional view of like
Yeah, right.
the,
I like
the
that.
interchangeability of lives and the value of lives just as like military resources.
And separates people from their
Yeah.
family.
Yeah.
yeah, exactly. So I like that. I think
I
that's
like,
cool.
I like community. I like that as one. Like, in that.
Also, because I'm gonna transgress against that one real fucking hard, all over the place.
Because the thing is, like, for me, I have a really strong sense of the difference between being in somewhere with strong community and not strong community. In that we are very lucky to live in an area that has a very strong sense of community, and I know, and like I can compare and contrast that to where we were living before. Where it was like you live in your house in your suburb and you don't interact with anyone around you. You just go to your job and all those sorts of things. So I think I like that idea of like, it's almost that thing that capitalism does, right? It breaks you down into the nuclear family, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyone
You
outside of
are
that
a
is not your
self-contained
person.
unit.
Yep.
Certainly, workers do not form a community. Certainly not.
No, exactly.
I want to.
Oh no, go Melody, go.
I was just going to say, I want to propose then, if we're going with that kind of like wartime culture kind of thing, I want to propose then maybe love or relationships, and the whole thing of like, you can like, relationships are something that benefits the economy or the war effort or whatever. It's not, you're not like marrying people because you love them or whatever. It's
I like relationships as a word, as like a code word for romance. Right, romanticism.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, like sex is fine. The government doesn't care who you wanna do the frickle frackle with.
Or maybe they do. Like
I mean, we gotta
maybe
make
there are
lots of
strict
babies.
rules.
Here's my request. The second one should be really weird. This is my request for this stuff.
Cool.
Because like, we could be giving up bodies. We could be giving
It's
up
pretty cool.
gender. We could be giving up
Friendship.
That's a weird one. Like.
I mean, another.
We gave
sort
up
of
change in the previous in our playtest, and that was
That
really
was
interesting.
freaking cool. That was really cool.
Yeah, I like getting super.
I like that.
bizarro with
I
these
actually really like
choices,
the
so.
change and tradition as tradition is held sacred, change is opposed.
Right.
Yeah.
But it's kind of also like
Yeah.
we don't necessarily even need to pick change now that we have tradition.
That's true.
That's true.
Yeah.
It's kind of
Yeah,
implied.
I kind of feel like nature. Like if we assume that there is some kind of relationship between like nature and the regrowing of the natural world outside and the ghosts that now inhabit it. I kind of like the idea that nature is now like a forbidden thing.
Oh right, because it's haunted.
Yeah, like nature is haunted. You can't go there. It's dangerous.
Because we
Yes,
toppled all the
yeah,
shrines and
yep.
no one is paying respects to the spirits of nature, right? The ghosts. And
Yeah,
therefore
that's my
now
favorite
nature is
so
a
far.
haunt.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because I was gonna say we sort of again we chose nature as one of our ones for our last one.
Yeah, but I feel
that's
like
a very
it's
different.
a
That's a very
version.
different
Yeah.
version
I
of
know
it.
what my
Yeah.
character concept is now. I'm ready.
I like the idea of like we can't go there because it's haunted, as opposed to nature itself is somehow
Yeah.
like taboo.
Yeah.
Which is sort of-
I don't want to.
that's fair.
I don't want to do the like humanity versus nature thing.
No,
That's
no.
It's cool, but like I've done it a bunch, so
Yeah.
That's fair.
I like this idea that we've like betrayed nature
Yeah,
in that
exactly.
way in the course of what we did,
And,
and,
like-
so now it's like hostile to
Yeah,
us.
right.
Yeah,
And,
yeah,
like,
yeah.
Like
Yeah.
the thing outside of our wall is our walls are like combination nature, the ghosts of the angry dead. Like they've formed a union against us, right?
Oh,
Like,
okay.
They've unionized.
It's really unlikely that anyone has seen this film, but there is a film called Uncle Boon Me Who Can See His Past Lives, which is a freaking amazing film. You should all watch it. And also there is a yes, please look it up. There is a really amazing like depiction of like a ghost infested rainforest in that film. That this is absolutely reminding me of. Yes.
I'm gonna be honest, I'm just picturing that scene in Princess Mononoke where all the Kodama.
Yeah, there's that
Uh,
vibe too, right?
Yeah. Yeah,
Where like,
definitely.
it's bad, don't go there. But like you could go there, it's probably okay.
Yeah,
And like
yeah,
if
Yeah,
you're
like the
respectful,
attitude of Irontown towards where
Yeah.
they're like,
And I,
oh, the haunted thing.
aesthetically, I'm kind of I get the impression we're not going so in the technology direction, but for some reason I keep thinking of Final Fantasy: The Spirits Within.
oh yes.
Like this kind of ghost
Oh.
world, but there's like they're looking for these like
love
these tiny bits of nature and everything.
I love that film so
Yeah.
much. I don't
Same.
care if it's slightly trash. I love it forever.
It's great.
Someone is gonna have to find me a screenshot because I've never done a Final Fantasy before.
It's
So.
a, it's
It
a
actually
yeah.
doesn't have anything to do with Final Fantasy.
And none of the Final Fantasies have much to do with each other anyway, really.
and
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
You have heard everything.
We've finished our first column. I'm thinking that it might be time for our first break for today, and then we can move on to the second column because I feel like today's just episode 0. We're establishing stuff.
Yeah.
So
We're
that's
taking
cool.
our sweet time.
Yeah, exactly.
Mm-hmm.
Like no one's gonna stop us. All right, chat. We'll go and make a cup of tea or something, and we'll be back in 5 minutes. Bye.